new level of what we've been doing so far. This year, we are going to start off with conflict resolution and conflict management in the home, at your job site, wherever you find yourself. You know, even the love issues we handled last year, if you don't know how to properly manage and handle conflicts, because conflicts will come. Conflicts are inevitable. They will come. If you don't know how to handle them, conflicts will mess up the beauty of marriage and the beauty of every relationship. Welcome once again. This is Dr. Beatrice Tembi, and we are going to have an exciting time today. A friend of mine told us, we were in a group, actually we were coming back from a session in a home where her husband had conducted the prayers. They were married and they were more elderly than I. I was still unmarried. We were coming in a group and she sighed, she said, the Bible says anybody who wants to go to heaven must be able to carry their crosses and follow God. She said, my own cross is my husband. My greatest cross is my husband, and I'm carrying him every day so that I can go to heaven. I was surprised because I thought this couple, was a perfect couple. I used to admire them from a distance. But this lady told us in the midst of other women that her husband was her greatest cross. And then it reminded me of a statement some married people had said, that marriage can take you to hell. In other words, marriage can take you away from God. I was surprised. I thought, at that time, I thought marriage was heaven on earth. Marriage was a bliss, one long, beautiful dream. Now, why do they say marriage can actually take you away from God? I'll go back. We can't do without the handbook that God gave us, the manufacturer's handbook. God made us like you can manufacture something and you make a handbook for that thing. The Bible is the manufacturer's handbook. Let me go to it. I give you a few passages, what God our Creator says about conflicts, and then today we are going to say something brief on what I title the difference between constructive and destructive conflict. Okay, great. Now, what does our manufacturer handbook, the book of universal principles, say about conflicts? Mark 11:25-26. And whenever you stand praying, if you have anything against anyone, forgive him, that your Father in heaven may also forgive you your trespasses. But if you do not forgive, neither will your Father in heaven forgive your trespasses. I beg your pardon. So, in the home, since we began with the home, if I can't forgive my husband, or a husband can't forgive the wife, God will not forgive their trespasses. So are they getting closer to God or further away from God? Further. One other verse, there are so many verses in the Bible about it. The next verse is Matthew 18:34-35. And his master was angry and delivered him to the torturers until he should pay all that he was due to him. So my heavenly Father also will do to you if each of you from his heart does not forgive his brother his trespasses. So, in this story, you can go and read it in the book of Matthew 18. God, or whoever represented God in this story, had already forgiven somebody. That person could not forgive the other person. So the person who represented God in this story withdrew the forgiveness. It is very important to know how to manage conflicts in the home, in the church, wherever you find yourself. Okay, great. Now, since this is not a Bible study time, I would have given you so many passages, but if you are interested, go and study. Now, I told you conflicts are inevitable. But you know what? When a conflict arises, you can cause that conflict to be either constructive or destructive. A conflict can just be some disagreement. You grew up in a home, your spouse grew up in another home, and you have conflicting ideas, conflicting ways of doing things, conflicting perspectives. Of course, the next edition I'll go into causes of conflicts, and you see differences in perspective coming in. But now, when a conflict arises, what do you do with the conflict? How do you cause the conflict to be constructive so that it will not pull you further away, it will not separate you from your spouse, from your boss in the office, from your friends in church, or your relatives? What do you do so that this conflict will instead be constructive? 1. Focus on the issue which is causing the conflict and not personalities. I'm going to explain that, don't worry. I will take a particular conflict. Let's say two people, or the husband and the wife, are conflicting on what kind of school to send their children to. The husband can be saying, I want our kids to go to a government school, government school where there will be no fees, something like that. And then the wife can be saying, no, I want these kids to go to a private institution, private school, and we're going to, the fees is maybe $1,000 or 250,000 safer, or So now that's a conflict already. They have disagreed, and maybe they are conflicting on that point. Now, listen. This can be a very constructive conflict, and it can be a very destructive conflict. If the two people decide that the conflicting issue here is the school for the kids, we are conflicting on that. And then they start talking about the schools, the pros and the cons of the school. I'm just using school as an example, okay? The advantages of the public school over the private school, and the disadvantages. They talk about it, forgetting about it themselves, but talking about schools. And then the advantages of the private school over the public school, and the disadvantages. They write them all down. They can come to a good conclusion. But in most cases, even before talking about schools, they will start talking about personalities. The wife can say something like, you are very tight-fisted. You don't want to use money on these kids? Now when you say he's tight-fisted, that is already getting to him and not the school. If the husband says, you are so extravagant, what kind of extravagant woman is this? What is he doing? He has left the conflicting issue and is talking about the personality of the other person. So if you can focus on the conflicting issue and try not to talk about character defects or what of the other person, that conflict will be a constructive conflict, because now you can take a proper decision. And minus that conflict, you wouldn't have known the advantages and disadvantages of the schools. You would have just send the child. If you said, I'm sending my child to this public school, if your wife had not maybe conflicted with you, you wouldn't have understood how the school systems work. So now you have understood it. Two of you have understood it very well. The conflict now becomes constructive. Okay? Good. But please, as soon as you start saying you are, it's already destructive. And before you would get anything from that conflict, it will be so difficult. Okay? Good. Second point, for a conflict to be constructive, you need to be polite, and there need to be open communications of feelings. You must say to the other person how you are feeling, not how he or she is feeling. And you must be open about it. If you say, I feel that, or I was thinking that, or my reasoning is that, maybe you think that the money is too much to spend on children. You are talking about your feeling, not his feeling. Because you don't yet know his feelings. Or vice versa. If the husband said, I am thinking that, or I decided on this because I reasoned that it would be better to send the kids to expose them to whatever your reason is. You are talking about, it's an open communication of feeling. And when you said the danger of you being rude or calling the other person names is reduced or taken away. Now it becomes a constructive conflict. The partner can now see the way you are reasoning. Listen, many a times conflicts come up because people don't know how the other person reasoned before taking a decision. But if you can explain, no, I thought this was the best. It is I, not you. You are too this. You just keep you are drawing conclusions on me. You when you say you, there's a horrible conflict now. But you say I this is how I reasoned it. This is how I reasoned it. The other person will be seeing that he or she was drawing a wrong conclusion. Okay? So the second point, open communication on how you are feeling and not how the other person is feeling. But now, destructive conflict is rude and name calling. Don't be rude. Don't begin by saying you are like this, you are like that. Okay, great. So now that's the second thing. And then for a conflict to be constructive, that's the third thing now. The conflicting parties must cooperate to look for solution. Cooperate. Look, it is two of us versus the conflicting issue. It is not me versus you, or you versus me. Okay? So you must have first put your finger on the conflicting issue. That is why, or the cause of conflict. That is why after this, the next episode will be on causes of conflict. Well, you must put your finger there. And then let two of us versus this thing. Not you versus me, okay? For a destructive conflict, people polarize into me versus you. They polarize into North Pole and South Pole, and they are fighting. And you can see it very clearly when you are trying to resolve such conflicts. People come, they have planned what they will say to discredit the other person. It's not a good thing, okay? Now, before we end this, 1, focus on issues and not on personalities. 2, open communication about your feeling, not the other person's feeling. Don't call the person names. And 3rd, cooperate, 2 of you versus the issue and not me versus you. Now there's something I want to do. I'll go back to an interesting story. Very interesting story in the Bible. And it is in Genesis chapter 13, 5 to 8. That's where I'm going to end. And you like it. Okay? Lot also, who went with Abraham, had flocks and herds and tents. Now the land was not able to support them, that they might dwell together, for their possessions were so great that they could not dwell together. And there was strife between the herdsmen of Abraham's livestock and the herdsmen of Lot's livestock. The Canaanites and the Perizzites had then dwelt in the land. So Abraham said to Lot, please, let there be no strife between you and I, and between your herdsmen and my herdsmen, for we are brethren. Is not the whole land before you? Please separate from me. If you take the left, then I will go to the right. And if you go to the right, then I will go to the left. Okay, now these 3 points. These 3 points. When Abraham came, he didn't tell Lot that, look, you are so ungrateful. God called me and I took you along. So this land, God gave it to me, not to you. Did he tell Lot anything about his ingratitude? No. But do you know that Lot was so ungrateful? I can't even imagine how you can fight with your uncle over something that God gave him. Did he do that? No. Did he focus on the issue? Yes. The issue was grazing land for their cattle. He focused on the issue. So he said, me and you, we are on the same side. We are brethren. It is 2 of us versus grazing land. Not you versus me. Let us not fight. We are brethren. Okay? Good. Just take these 3 points I've given you today. In the course of time, I'll be giving you causes of conflict, and we are going to see how we are going to be resolving different conflicts in the home, especially and elsewhere. 1, focus on the issue and not on personalities. You are this, you are that. 2, express your own feeling, beginning by I feel, not you have made me feel. Don't say you have made me feel. No. I feel this way, I thought this way, I reasoned this way. That's why I took this decision. Don't say you have said this. And thirdly, don't polarize into you versus me. Good. God bless you. I hope that whatever conflict is coming up between you and whoever will be turned into a constructive conflict and not allowed to degenerate into a destructive conflict. God bless you. Please, new level, new year. Share with your friends. Subscribe and click the button. We have just started. Wait for other episodes. God bless you.